Mean Ole Lion Media presents the Business First Podcast.
Hi, all, and welcome to a new episode of Business First with Sonia Alleyne. I am your host, and today we welcome in studio Natasha L. who is the head of 1221, a full-service PR operation in Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome, Natasha. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Birmingham is a place that has been on my list to visit. I've never been there. What is the business atmosphere like? The small business, actually, you know what? The broad business environment in Birmingham.
Right now, I think Birmingham is thriving as it relates to small businesses. It's a lot of support from the city of Birmingham and the corporate community, as well as the local residents. They are really looking and supporting local businesses. So, buy local, support local, and keep the money in-house so we can really build a sustainable environment and community for all.
Okay, so it's important for Birmingham officials to keep the talent in the city, isn't it?
Yes, we have to retain and build good retention. And one way to do that is to really support its native people and support their dreams, because the more people we see actually going towards their dreams and aspirations, then that creates more opportunities for other people in the community. So it's just really been a wonderful thing to see.
Wow. And your company is part of that support that they need, isn't it?
Yeah, and I need as much support as possible. Yes, 1221 is a public relations boutique I founded about 10 years ago, just to develop, advise, and educate small to mid-sized businesses on the value of public relations. So I've been fortunate so far, and it's just one event, one contract, one consult at a time, and just building my reputation over the years. And as I like to say, the lights are still on, so that's good.
Right. Yeah, because as tough as it is for those businesses that you're servicing, it can also be challenging for people who are consulting those businesses. Right. And so the fact that you've been there for 10 years, well, congratulations, because that is a feat within itself that you've been able to, like you said, that the lights are still on and you've been able to maintain your business.
It's been a labor of love, but, a lot of people, they're either born entrepreneurs or they get into entrepreneurship because they have maybe maxed out at their jobs, burned out, or, turnover. And I was part of the turnover. I used to work with the city of Birmingham, serving as an executive director of the Negro Southern League Museum. And the old regime, so to speak, lost. So the mayor that I was working under, which was the Bell administration, he lost the election. So, you get a new mayor, he's going to bring in new people, and that's just part of the game. And so 1221 at first was just what I did on the side, so let me get an LLC and I would assist my friends who were entrepreneurs on the side. But then it became my bread and butter. And one of the things that I learned in doing so, I've been fortunate through my career, which is between broadcast journalism, then moving to public relations, is that I always had a name behind me. So if it was NBC, WVTM, Miles College, the city of Birmingham, and Railroad Park Foundation, I can go in confident because I have this name. So I can sell water to the shark, but having that same confidence when it's your name. So it took me a minute just to really say, hey, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, because everyone wants to little your business. Oh, she started a little business because she doesn't have a job, but really having that faith that I can actually do this. And once you tackle that mental part of it, to say, I'm Natasha L. whether I'm building a business or I'm working for a business that's already been in existence for a number of years, that's really important. And once I actually start having that confidence in it, it began to grow, but I had to develop into that. And that's one of the big lessons and takeaways that I've learned, because being in business 10 years, I am just now getting to that point. Oh no, I'm the owner of 1221. What do you do? I'm a public relations consultant. And then I have a body of work to back that up. But again, just really saying, hey, I am this person, and understanding I'm enough to back that up because of the quality of work was more than a notion.
So you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because, and there are a lot of pieces here. I am. There was a number of us. I'm one of them who had to transition from media and go into communications, PR, media relations. And I want you to talk about the skills that you brought from these positions that allowed you to be as strong as you are in the business that you have now.
I'm
But
a,
I'd
I'm a
also like you to talk about what it was. What is that journey like? What is that mental fastening like to be able to move through and, like you said, to be really strong in who you are, whatever the circumstances were that got you to where you are, that you
ooh,
can
this is a
stand
loaded
firm
question.
in who you are.
Loaded question. So let me see what journey. And if I get veer off, just put me back on.
Okay.
So
That's
I
what I'm here.
started in broadcast journalism. And I went from working at CNN as an intern to working at NBC in New York. So I was an NBC page. And so I learned a lot. I worked with Weekend Today and Dateline NBC before moving back to Birmingham, working at WVTM, working as an associate producer in production, and then moving to become a general assignment reporter, which was my quote unquote dream job. But as you know, if you've been worked in TV, you hadn't been in TV until you've been let go. So station ownership change, you're out the
Yeah.
door. But thankfully, I had a great work ethic, so I could go back to my old station and work as an associate producer. I started to see the writing on the wall as it relates to downsizing newsrooms. And what happened one day, one of our long term anchors was walked out the door. And I'm just like, what? And I'm like, this is a person that I idolized, but it was just, part of the business. And I said to myself, I didn't want to be 40 years old without a job. So I then started making the transition to public relations. Now, I didn't know anything about PR. I was literally on an assignment covering it. And I saw the lady who was moving and around and organizing everything. And I asked her a question. I said, after, just between you and I said, I'm often coming to events such as these, covering it, but I have to go back to the station. Tell me, how do I get an invite? And then she told me what she did. And honestly, I hate to admit it, but I was so focused in on broadcast journalism, I didn't know anything else. So she told me about public relations. She kind of mentored me a little bit. And then when I was in the newsroom one day, so it's good to have great relationships. The former president of Miles College, which was Dr. Albert J.H. Sloan at the time, passed away. I sent my condolences to his brother-in-law, who used to be my former professor. And so I was talking to him. We talked shop because he was a former news person. And he said, just hold on, I may have something for you. So a few months later, I ended up starting at Miles College in media relations. Now, here's the thing. Media relations, for a person that's just come from network level and worked in the market, it's easy to get stories placed because I knew what the newsroom was looking at. So I would often write the stories and everything that the producer needed. I knew who to call. I had personal relationships with them. So I was able to do media relations. But what I did not understand at the time is relations is just one component of public relations. So I really didn't start learning about PR until I started to network in that field, and I joined Public Relations Society of America, and I started really learning and networking with professionals. And then I went back to school and ended up getting my master's degree in communications management. But I tell you, I've received the most experience through working with seasoned veterans that was telling me about strategic communication. So it's a difference between just calling the television station and getting placement than really putting together communications plans rooted in research. So I'm coming with this media background, but now I'm learning a whole new facet. And so I was on a good trajectory in media relations, and it dawned on me one day, that dog, I have to start over because I have to learn this whole discipline all over again. How does this work? And so for the next 8 years or so, I'm really building my resume, understanding how it works, learning the difference between what is public relations, what is marketing, what is advertising, how does all this work together, internal communication, external communication, crisis management. strategic plan, research. Oh my, so learning all that. But luckily for me, I'm gifted in that area. And then you put that with a little creativity, and know-how, and it's just sparked, and it just hit, and I found my niche, because in a newsroom, you really can't get creative until sweeps. So this gave me a opportunity to really just, learn, build. And I was always good at putting things together. Like, you can give me something to do, and I can take a concept and just from the biggest detail and break it down to the smallest detail. And so I have that natural ability. So you rope all that in together, and a lot of people who will believe in you and give you an opportunity, then you create something good. So a lot of times when I'm just mentoring people, I tell them, go volunteer, because one thing about it, they're not going to turn down free labor. So you can make as many mistakes as you need and learn on the job. And then you can build your resume and build a portfolio. And honestly, the reason why I've gotten good and are able to make results or get results from my clients is because I'm tried and true. And I have a really strong belief in God. So I pray before every contract, every event, when I'm advising people, and I'm going to research. So I'm not going to give you information until I research and try to look at things. And plus, Sonia, to be honest, I'm so nosy. I'm going to ask so many questions. And I have that double mind, like, oh, you just an overthinker. Well, in relationships, that's a bad thing. But in conversations, I can come out about 15 ways this can play out. You know what I mean? So that serves me well in that capacity now. Right. But for men, not so much.
I love it. Well, each of your answers brings up so many other things, because I love the fact that because I think it's another lesson for our listening audience. The fact that you are not afraid to delve in and study and learn and build skills. And sometimes, even as we're transitioning into new areas, there's always a learning curve. And the willingness to be able to study and learn and say, I don't know certain things, but is also really important.
Mm-hmm. And then too, we're living in an age, Sonia, everybody is an expert. And it's hard to decipher. And you hear a lot of stuff wrong all the time, to where I'm like, I need to go back and check. You know what I mean? Like, because you hear wrong, especially when you're in this field, because people want to say PR is marketing and vice versa, and it's just not the case. Now, can you create a communications plan that has everything all together, an integrated communication strategy? Yes, you can. But when people are just taking one component, or they may do videography, they may do event management, and then people automatically assume they can build a communication strategy, and that's just not the case, or that they're skilled in crisis communications management. I kind of stay in my lane and I do a few things very well and try to build on that, but I'm not so closed-minded that I won't learn something else. But I'm not going to steer anyone wrong. And I think if you research everything that you do and you actually do it, you're going to learn. And I'm glad that I'm operating in my gift. But I do hope that, especially in this day and age, because when you're looking at this, a lot of people are like, oh, I spent so much money and I didn't get any results. Well, let's look at how you started. And then when you're building a business, most people, if they're doing a brick and mortar, okay, they bought everything that they need, and then PR and any type of media strategist out the window, until the very end. And then they wonder why it doesn't work. Well, when you're actually picking out your tiles, you need to be building your communication strategy so it already be together, and understanding who is your target public. Audience is way big, but target. So who needs to know about your business, wants to know, or should know, and build from there. And once people have been bitten, so they spent out so much money and then they didn't get the results, or someone says, I can build a website for you, but then they do not tell you, but I don't write the content, or I write the content and then I can't build the site. You know what I mean? Or you don't have the pictures for it. The pictures don't even match. you have a logo, but the logo doesn't really fit your goal and where you see your vision for your business to go in. Then you don't have any internal operations going. You just all over the place. And so then after you spit this money out and no return and don't understand that, maybe this, and everybody tell you need to be on all social media platforms, but you can't even operate one. Like, why? So being realistic and understanding the operation. So when I come in, I literally try to, do some strategic PR consulting with them and really try to guide them and really build capacity based off of where they are and where they want to go. And then with 1221, the three things that I do is develop, advise, and educate. So it may be you don't hire me, but if I can aim you with the right information, I'm going to teach you how to do some of the small things. And what I've noticed by me being open to teach them this stuff and to develop their understanding, they'll come back to you anyway because they trust you and you didn't just try to do the money grab. So there you go.
I'm so glad you said that, PR and communication strategy is as much as a science, if you will, as operations and accounting and everything else.
And it needs to be on the C-suite level, not like an afterthought, because it really touches every part of your business. And I really want people to really understand that and look at it from that standpoint.
What is the aha moment from your customers or your clients when they realize, oh, you know what, like this is important? I do need to consider this as much as I need to consider my tiles and what my cards are going to look like or what my services are going to be.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's an aha moment. I think what they really appreciate and which they tell me is that they gain understanding because I'm able to assess what they have done, look at it, and provide solutions that's written down and build the science around it and not let them just engage with or count output, but outcome. And that's a difference. Somebody can tell you, oh, on my platform, we have 24,000 views. Well, how many of those 24,000 actually came and purchased your product or, went and found out more information about your services? So it's more outcome. But actually the education component and advising them and the results. Because once we build a plan, even if I say, well, Sonia, we can, within 3 months, we can maybe, up your subscriptions to about 5,000 more people. But then I'm going to tell you how we're going to do it and where they're coming from and who we're going to target and why. And that really resonates. A lot of people may say, I just need to have an event and do this. And you have a whole room of people for your show, but none of them are your audience. So you just wasted some money. But what if that same room was full of 20 people, but you end up hitting your goal through that 20 people because it was targeted and it was based on research and a communications plan that you built for your organization to take you how you're going to go and go from there. And so I think when people start to learn that and see that and they get results, because we're going to set some smart goals. I'm not going to promise you the moon and stars knowing we're going to land on a flower bed. So, and then letting them understand that and then seeing the process. And as a solopreneur, I understand that any business owner has 1,500 jobs in a day. So when they hire like 1221, I'm not just going to come in and do your strategic planning. If you hire me or if I'm on a retainer and I see other needs in your operation, I would be remiss if I don't tell you that and how that can relate to what we're doing. So if they get an extra set of hands. I had a horror story one time when I was working at Miles College and they brought in a consultant. And Sonia, to be honest with you, with the consultant, the staff ended up doing more of the work, but he walked away with the $35,000 check. So the next year I said, oh no more consultants. So we rallied so they can let us do that same event. And when the staff did it and took on the role, not only was it their highest grossing event, I want to try to be a little, the highest grossing event, but they end up grossing more proceeds. And then the morale was big because we felt good. And then the school rewarded us. And then by them paying us a little stipend because, they're not going to pay you. Well, you already doing your job. Well, you give us some extra, but the extra was appreciative, but they saved money and had better results. So if I'm a consultant, I never never want to walk away from a client and they feel like they did the work.
Right.
I want them when I come and when I leave, I want them to miss me like, dog, she took all that off our plate. We call her again. So that's my little secret.
And we'll be right back.
So events have become a big tool for people to market their business and their expertise. What would you suggest to people who are thinking about events or not sure how to do events, or whether or not they should do them?
I would first say, what's the purpose of the event? Did you build a strategic plan? How is this event going to impact your business? What do you want to get from it? You got to ask those qualifying questions. Now, if you just want to write off to say, hey, you're going to have this anniversary celebration, okay. But how can you get something out of it? Can you partner with an organization to where you can do something feel good, to where a portion of the proceeds will benefit a nonprofit, so you maybe can garner some media coverage or some goodwill? It has to be a reason behind it that can end up being maybe a win-win if you're partnering with someone, or if it is an appreciation to make your stakeholders feel better, or if it's going to be a way that you're going to leverage it to where you can bring more publicity to your business. I'm going to ask you the why, and then you build that around that. And I think with events, it's easy to, want to break the budget. And people want the moon and stars till they really realize how much it costs. But my biggest thing is the devil in the details. You can have $1 million budget or 80,000, whatever. But if you didn't dot those I's and cross those T's, it's going to be a bad event. And people won't enjoy themselves. So I think you need to pay attention to details from the layout to make sure it's enough room, that you start on time, that you really paid attention to the program flow, that the menu actually goes with the theme. It's not so much decor. Sometimes they have them big old flower beds. I can't even talk to the person next door to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's in the way, excuse me,
Yeah.
So being mindful of those, and then coming up with something new. Because how many plated dinners with chicken have you been to? So what's yours? What's going to be different about yours? So really coming up with an innovative solution, new event ideas, and how you present them, and making sure you have your staff that's friendly and that they're not there to enjoy themselves. They are there to ensure all the guests enjoy themselves. Because a lot of times they do more partying than they are working, and so you got to have somebody work. So making sure of that, and the details, and the takeaways, and be creative. People want to go to something different, and break out the old mold. It might not be a retreat. It may not be a conference. You might be able to accomplish your goal in an hour and a half. Don't keep people all day.
Right. How difficult has staff development been for some of when you talked about, employees coming to events and having fun instead of actually working? How difficult has it been in terms of what you have found, for companies to really develop good staff, strong team members, and people who may not get paid as much as they are worth, but can really contribute to the mission and help the company grow?
Well, I think before I put it on them trying to attract new personnel, is that take a look at your organization and what type of culture do you have? Is it positive? Is it nurturing? Is it rewarding? Do they feel part of the team? Make sure that you have a good culture already in place so someone will want to come and work for you. Two, for me, I'm a solopreneur. And a lot of folks like, oh, you're not going to hire staff. That really wasn't the plan. My model is that I network. I have a select network of top tier vendors that I work with, and together as a cohort, we're able to be a big public relations company. So videographers, photographers, people to build websites, do graphics. I have a network of other entrepreneurs, and we feed off each other. So if you hire me, I have this arsenal of talented people, and not only are you helping the ecosystem, but you're working with other small business owners that are hungry and thankful for the opportunity. So they're going to go above and beyond. And I'm able
Right.
to give some cost effective breaks because everybody is individual. My go to is I like to hire mature people. I know a lot of times people are, feel like they're too old or they're out of place. But when you hire a person that's mature, number one, I don't have to pay them as much because a lot of them retire, right? Or they looking for extra income, but they're
Yeah.
coming with so much wisdom and knowledge. And so I tend to go to a higher demographic, or if I have the time, then I try to recruit top talent to help me. Now I have an end because part time I'm a university instructor at the
Right.
University of Alabama at Birmingham. So I'm able to see talent all day. So you can do an internship program, but teach them along the way. But I like to go with seasoned professionals to give them an opportunity, and then you can be a hybrid because if I bring in an intern and then bring in somebody that's about 50 that has some season, you'll just be amazed at what they come up with, especially when we're around the round table because no one is left out. So
Right.
it's really been a rewarding experience, and especially with the way I conduct things with working with other vendors, because it becomes more of a support system too, because we all experience the same things,
Absolutely.
trials and tribulations, and so when you need that good shoulder to cry on and saying, I have one friend of mine. We'll have a joke like, "Well, I think it's almost time for us to put in our application at Amazon."
Right.
When the contracts come in like third quarter, so surely it's slow.
Right.
But having that encouraging word, and then you all of a
Right.
sudden you get a contract, and then you got your back is straight again, and then when that's over,
Yeah.
ooh, what's next? And not beating down on yourself because when you are a solopreneur or just an entrepreneur, it's not enough hours in a day because
Right.
it's always something you have to do. But then you have to be disciplined because you understand if you don't move your business, no one's going to move it.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Tell us about the communications course that you teach at the university.
I teach the class everyone hates, which is public speaking. They avoid it like the plague. No one wants to get up in front of people and give a speech. But I really enjoy that class because I think if you can actually articulate your thoughts and you can actually give a great solid presentation,
Right.
it can take you so far because people can teach you what they need you to know, but can you present it? Will you present my brand well? Can I trust you to go and speak on my behalf or speak on behalf of the company? And when you can
Mhm.
do that, I think that just opens so many doors and it can get you positioned for leadership. Well, at least that's what I tell my students, but I believe it. And it's just so good to see someone that was shy. Not to say everybody's going to be the next Barack Obama or Michelle Obama when it
Right.
comes to speaking, but to see someone go from where they were to get a little bit better and more confident and actually know how to give a speech with the different parts instead of just up there rambling with no kind of organizational structure is very rewarding. But I have to be cognizant of Chat GPT now because I have to say, now you know you didn't write that. Come on now.
Yes.
You don't know what flowery and all this stuff means. Where you get that word from?
While
Without
we were
offending, because you don't want to offend anybody. Oh
right,
my,
exactly. Not today. Not today.
yes.
While we were talking, I was looking up this number because I knew it was high, but I wanted to make sure that it was correct. This year, roughly 300,000 Black women lost their jobs. And at the beginning of our conversation, you talked about the importance of entrepreneurship. So, I'm imagining that these women were at various levels, but what would you say to someone who is particularly where we are in this economy thinking and you talked about your personal experience, but thinking about I could be possibly losing my job, it looks like they might be downsizing, and wondering what skills they may have to start a business.
Well, don't panic. I've been there. I've been unemployed. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
But please have strong faith in God first and foremost. He will not let you fail. I was just having this conversation the other day. So no, Sonya didn't give me the questions beforehand. So I didn't know what was going to be asked. But I've in my personal circle, I know four very close friends, all professional, multiple advanced degrees that have been laid off. Now, to look at it, I feel like if you want to taper the Black community at this point in time,
Mhm.
if you take out Black women, which a lot of them are, heading up the households per se, that's a big hit,
Yeah.
especially if you're used to commanding a certain salary.
Yeah.
I will say this is the time to reinvent yourselves, and I hate to say that because it's like they already have enough pressure on them. So now you
Right.
telling me I need to reinvent myself, and I don't feel like doing. I might want to soak for a minute. I may not want to do anything. I may just want to have the liberty to go and find another job, and that's just what it is. And all of that is fine. I just want them to first take care of their mental health. That's big because if you're not mentally there, you're not going to move anything. You're not going to do anything, and
Right.
give yourself some grace. But take time, devise a plan. If it's something that you wanted to do, if you have the means to do it, go out there and
Yeah.
step out and do it. It may not come to fruition till a year or two later, depending on your situation. But always just give yourself grace through the process, because a
Right.
lot of times you beat yourself up, and that make you more stagnant. And if you need to be stagnant for a season, be stagnant. But just continue to move, make progression forward, even if that's takes a long time for you. But in that instance, take care of your mental health. If there's something you want to do, go out there and do it strategically. Do it though. Make sure you have the resources in place. Make sure you get everything you need. When I open my business, the first thing
Yeah.
I want to do, let me make sure everything is legit on the paperwork end because I want to be able to
Right.
get my check. That's exactly
Right.
what that was. So we got to have an LLC. I need my EIN. I
Right.
got to open up a bank account. And luckily for me, I have a great network of friends, and they're all professionals. So you start bartering. So my friend that's an attorney filled my stuff out.
Right.
I had I did some work with with a web design company that cut me a big break. I can actually write content, so I can build a website, but I can't physically put the code in. So I was able to
Right.
catch a break there. I have friends that's good in accounting. They can give me a spreadsheet to help me keep up with my finances, because I don't think I'm big enough to do QuickBooks right now. But now I'm like, oh God, so the resources will come in place, but make sure mentally, because that was the biggest thing for me mentally, staying sound, and again having the confidence in myself that I can do this, and not feeling that this is not as stellar as it could be, because there's other organizations I've built from the ground up that are still
Mhm.
sustaining, still using a lot of the things I put in place. So that's a true testament. Now, and I need to have that same grind for 1221, but part of 1221 is my job is to make sure my clients' brands are thriving and moving. So when it comes to mine, it's like, oh, I don't feel like it. So I'm
Right.
giving myself some grace, but you want to see someone happy is when I see a client and we hit the results that they needed. It's
Right.
just a rewarding feeling. So that was the long answer. I hope I answered it. I think I
Oh
did.
yeah, no, absolutely. Where'd you get the name 1221? Is that the name of the building, or is that the number on the building, or
Well,
is there
that's my
a
birthday,
story
Sonya.
behind that?
That's my birthday, Sonya, so you shouldn't forget it. So
Oh, okay. No, we
1221,
won't.
yeah, that's
That's
my
your
birthday. I
birthday.
always thought my birthday was cool because it's a 1-2 and a 2-1. And my friend is a graphic designer who designed my logo. I said, wouldn't it be great if we wrote out 12 and then the 2 and a 1? So it's literally my birthday, and it's just a play on it. So that was
Oh,
my
I love
birthday
that.
present to myself. And so we're, like I said, 10 years later, and the lights are still on.
That's right. So for the folks who are in Birmingham or nearby, do you still do the sessions at 12:21 on Fridays? On
Yes,
select
yes. Now,
Fridays?
a lot of people book them, but can we do Monday? Can we do Tuesday? I'm like, I really wanted to do these on Friday, but yes, yes, ma'am. We one-on-ones with 1221. So a lot of times you might just need a little advising. So
Right.
you can do a consult with me. You get a nice journal. I give you lunch. We'll meet. I'll listen to you. I'll give you some advisement. We'll write some stuff down and a good plan. And whatever you get out that meeting, you can feel free to implement it. If you want me to implement, that's one thing, but you should be locked and loaded based on what we're consulting about to where you have enough information to where you'll know what to do when you leave out of there. So a lot of people like that. For me, it's something cool and quick and fun and easy to do that I enjoy doing. Because again, I'm operating in my gift. Thank you, God. So a lot of this stuff, like I said, with that overthinking, I can come up with it. I can come up with it. And it's based on years of experience. And before the console, I would have already did my research on the business and already have some things generating before we get in there.
So what do the next 10 years look like?
That is a very good question because I've been thinking about that myself. So the next, you're always looking at the next thing, and I still want to fulfill my vision for 1221 because I haven't done that yet. It's a few things that I've done recently that I was like, I wanted to check off the list, such I've handled a crisis situation with a local HBCU that turned out very well. I'm working on a political campaign now, something I really want to do to see, can I take a person that's nobody knows and get them elected? So I'm working on that now. So you have to follow up with me to see if he makes it, but he's doing really, really well right now.
Oh, I'd love
But,
to follow up on that.
but the second arm of 1221 is a nonprofit organization. It's certain events I want to see. I like edutainment. So I want to educate and entertain. So with the 1221 Foundation that I'm building, I want to bring certain events to Birmingham that can help with recruitment and retention of people and boost civic pride. So that's what I want to do. I've done different signature events for the Negro Southern League Museum, Railroad Park Foundation, Miles College, and a number of nonprofit organizations. But I don't retain ownership of those. So that was a flaw. You live and learn in business. So now I have that claw, and they're like, oh no, this man. You know what I mean? You want to lease it out, but I come up with signature events because I'm very just creative and innovative. And I just want to, it's certain events I want to see. So if no one's producing them, then it's for me to do. But I want to do it, strategically. And that's what I'm working on. And that would be the next 10 years of 1221. I hope I'm able to continue to do this. And through the nonprofit side, I want to build a staff. But for the solopreneur with 1221, I'm comfortable where I am now with that network, but just, streamlining processes a little bit better to grow it in that end internally. And then if I find some really good talent and the business is coming, but it's good, but that takes on a whole lot of pressure that as a solopreneur I hadn't had to look at or do. So we'll have to see.
And how can we get in touch with you? Those who want to either chime in for the session 1221 sessions, or acquire you for business.
Yes, please chime in and acquire me. Yeah, you can go to 1221team.com. Again, that's 1221team.com. That's TEAM. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm quite sure they'll put that up for you. Or you can give me a call at 205-643-2121. Again, that's 205-643-2121. And if you on Facebook, just watching reels at 3:00 in the morning, you can go by my Facebook page too. Now that's all you're gonna find because we want to keep it active. So it's just me, so I'm not gonna be on all these platforms. And so it's very good to know where your business is coming from because the majority of my business is through referrals, and people do look at my page. But once you kind of know where your business come from, you kind of,
Right.
love on my clients a little bit more because clearly they're referring me. And
Right.
I don't know if people do this now. So I share one secret. I do a lot of cold calling. I will look at an organization and say,
Right.
they're missing this. And I'll write up some for them. I just did
Wow.
that. And I'm doing a 3-day workshop because you know what would be great for your organization if you did this. But I studied it, reached out to the person, built a rapport with them, and then pitched it. So a lot of times they don't know what they need until you tell them.
Right. That is right. Well, thank you so much, Natasha, for being here and sharing all of these great insights. And you know what? We will schedule time to revisit what's happening, not just 10 years from now, but what's going to happen with this election.
I know.
So,
Yes, please.
so that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Mhm.
So we wish you and the candidate all the best with that.
Thank you.
And yeah, I'm going to make a point to get to Birmingham so I can
Please,
see.
yes.
Yeah,
please.
it's way overdue, for
Mhm.
me. All right.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
You are welcome. And thank you all for listening. We'll be back again next week with another great guest. Take care.
The Business First podcast is hosted and produced by Sonia Alleyne. Executive producer Ken Johnson. Find the Business First podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcast. On social media on IG at business_first_podcast. Follow the Mean Ole Lion Media Podcast Network on IG at Mean Ole Lion Media. Get the Mean Ole Lion Media app in the App Store or Google Play. The Business First podcast is a Mean Ole Lion Media production.